the attorney who has been following this, and I've been watching her reports all over. I'm so happy that you're joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you joining us. So this is Meghann Cuniff. Meghann, are you a criminal defense attorney?
I'm actually a journalist, a lifelong journalist. I come from a family of lawyers. I've been around a lot of lawyers, but I don't have a law degree.
So I've been watching you, and you've been doing great stuff all over, just about on every network. So as you're watching this, do you disagree? Did you see the Fox report that I just had up? And they said these were 24-year-old allegations. Even though Jay-Z is vigorously defending himself, Tony Busby, the same thing. What do you make of these allegations, and what has your reporting been showing you?
It seems like we've got a lot to go in that Jay-Z is denying these allegations outright, and the allegations are there in print in a lawsuit that is going to need to be dealt with. So I think the first issue that the judge is going to deal with is whether the plaintiff can proceed anonymously. But I think we've got a ways to go with this lawsuit. I mean, the idea that it's just going to be dismissed outright, I think there's a process for that we're going to have to go through, but we're definitely in the early stages here.
So you don't think it'll be dismissed outright? Do you believe from your reporting that there is enough evidence that this will possibly go through?
I don't know. I have not seen any evidence. The way it's pled, the way the complaint reads, they've got witnesses in there, like a unknown celebrity, celebrity B, who they must obviously know who it is. So it seems like she would be a great witness on either side. And then it also says that the girl was picked up by her dad later on in the morning around dawn. So it seems like there are some witnesses in the complaint there that we can see, but we have not heard any statements from them. We have not seen any evidence one way or the other, because it's just a complaint that's been filed. So there's just still so much to know.
So look, apparently, explain to us the reporting here. I'll let you listen. Let's let you listen a little bit to, we'll listen to TMZ, and then you and I will talk about it, because they sort of explain this happened after the VMAs, right? Back in 2000, allegedly, this happened. This is TMZ, they're reporting, and then we'll get back to Meghann. Stand by, here it is.
TMZ is staying on the offensive, going after not only the attorney who filed the rape lawsuit against him and Diddy, that would be Tony Busby, the attorney, but also the accuser. And he has filed a new motion this morning, which we're going to get to in a moment, but basically he wants to level the playing field with the accuser. But first, we got to start with this response that Jay-Z had to the allegation. Catch you up real quick if you hadn't heard, but a woman who had filed a lawsuit against Diddy back in October, alleging that he had raped her at a VMA after party in the year 2000 when she was only 13 years old.
Right. Remember, this is when she allegedly was given a drink. She felt woozy, and there was Diddy, and there was a male celebrity who was unnamed at the time, and also a female celebrity.
Well, that unnamed celebrity is now named. She refiled the lawsuit on Sunday. She and her attorney, Tony Busby, refiled it and named Jay-Z as that unnamed celebrity involved in the rape. Jay-Z's response is extraordinary in that, look, we've seen all these lawsuits against Diddy, dozens of them now at this point, and frequently his response has been to deny it, but to say nothing else. Jay-Z went way more than just denying it. He did do that, but then went directly after the attorney. Part of his statement said, "My lawyer received a blackmail attempt from a lawyer named Tony Busby. It made me want to expose you, Tony Busby, for the fraud you are in a very public fashion. So no, I will not give you one red penny."
Pause, please, right there.
This lawyer.
Meghann, have you ever, in your reporting, this is a pretty strong statement from a celebrity. Usually it's pretty muted. It's just like, we're going to fight this in court, and we are no response. This did not happen. We did, categorically deny the allegations. What do you make of how Jay-Z is responding?
I think he's taking such an aggressive stance here because he knows that in a case like this, you can either settle quietly or you can fight loudly, and there isn't really any in between. And I think we're definitely in an era of our society where things are changing, and the norms that we're kind of used to in this stuff are, you need to release a measured statement and not say too much. I mean, we just reelected Donald Trump, and I think that's kind of questioned some norms in this country, and that people are thinking differently about things, and people want things to be a little bit more real and raw. And maybe this fits into that well.
Meghann, this is why I wanted you to come on, because I like how you're reporting this, and you are putting this in context of where we are in the zeitgeist in society right now. Donald Trump has pushed and broken a lot of norms, right? And so I think right now people are thinking differently about this thing, especially these things, especially when you consider the person who is the president-elect of the United States was found liable for SA, and has to pay not only found liable, but also has to pay for defamation, millions upon millions of dollars. We're at a different point now, and you believe that Jay-Z and his attorneys and his representatives, they know this, and that's why
I think they understand that the reality era of society has been in place for so long, and that they need to be real in their responses here and really take the bull by the horns and be aggressive. And that seems to be what they're doing, and we've seen that in the filings too. It's interesting that this is the only statement we've seen from Jay-Z, and it came Sunday night, and now he seems to be letting his lawyer do the talking through the filings.
Let's continue on a little bit, and then we'll get back with Meghann here.
Who I have done a bit of research on, seems to have a pattern of these types of theatrics. You claim to be a Marine. Marines are known for their valor. You have neither honor nor dignity. There were other shots at Tony Busby in his statement where he called him an ambulance chaser in a cheap suit.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is, and if you've heard Tony Busby's name before, it's because seems to always find his way. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but he seems to always find his way into the big case, Charles, right? I mean, if it's Travis Scott, if it's Deshaun Watson, the NFL quarterback, he's always involved.
So Jay-Z had that strong response.
Yeah.
Tony Busby isn't backing down, and in fact said that he denied that there was any extortion. He said, my client merely reached out and wanted to have a confidential mediation.
Right.
Now, I got to say, I don't know what that confidential mediation would be about other than money.
Right.
But his point is the letter itself did not make any request for money.
Right. Though I'm sure that was coming.
Let's pause.
Yeah, it sounds like.
So here's the thing. Tell me about Tony Busby, because they reeled off a list of celebrities there, Meghann, of who Tony Busby has helped, who were his clients. And I'm just wondering about his reputation. Basically, Jay-Z is saying that he believes that Tony Busby, just flat out calling him an ambulance chaser.
I mean, he does have a reputation for being involved in a lot of different cases, and trouble seems to follow him wherever he goes. He's had different lawsuits, different accusations from clients, from whatnot. But I also think that, I don't want to say it's uncommon, but unfortunately in this day and age of the Saul Goodman, we have a lot of lawyers who have a lot of baggage. And I mean, I think
Saul Goodman, what are you talking about? Explain.
The Breaking Bad lawyer that I remember when I used to interview a lot of lawyers, people always said that people would always cite Matlock or Perry Mason as the show that inspired them to be a lawyer. And I'm wondering if we're kind of entering the era of in a few years, are we going to be seeing people citing Saul Goodman as the reason in Breaking Bad is what inspired them to go be a lawyer? Tony Busby is of a different generation than that, and I think he's been a licensed lawyer since like 1997. But lawyers, plaintiffs lawyers, personal injury attorneys, people who take on big celebrity cases, they sometimes come with a lot of baggage like this, and it doesn't necessarily mean that their clients don't have cases. I mean, what we saw with Michael Avenatti was that his clients were victimized, and that the cases that he took on weren't necessarily trumped up cases. It was what he was doing with the end result that was the problem. So a lot of the times the clients are just kind of victims in this whole thing. And it doesn't mean that they don't necessarily have a case or that their case is fabricated. And I think that's what everyone is waiting to see here. How do the allegations, the baggage that Tony Busby comes, how does that relate directly to his lawsuit? And if there's rumblings that this girl doesn't actually exist, or she'd be a woman now, but I think everyone is waiting to see what actually happens with the allegations, so they can see if there is a connection between these allegations being trumped up and Tony Busby's reputation. But right now there isn't just a solid connection between
What do you mean there are rumblings that she doesn't actually exist?
Well, I mean, just the internet, as in just completely rumors that are just baseless. I mean, it's just people under handles on Twitter saying, oh, I bet she doesn't even exist. And it's like, right now, there's no reason to think that one way or the other. It seems like we're just trying to, we're just in the beginning stages here, and there's a lot more to come. But the way the lawsuit reads, I mean, he's written witnesses in there that could have some pretty powerful things to say. So I think there's a lot to come here.
A couple of things here. Folks are responding to your Saul, saying better call Saul, and that is that's pretty interesting. Do the celebrity B, right? Would that be the woman celebrity who was there? Or there's supposedly another celebrity. Folks have some idea. They're saying, since you're mentioning social media, who they believe that woman celebrity is.
I have not. I mean, I've seen names here and there, but I have not seen one way or the other any kind of definitive statement. And she hasn't come out and identified herself. And I think there's a lot of speculation on that. But that just seems to me that, I mean, obviously she would be a key witness in this whole thing, one way or the other. If it did happen, if it didn't happen, she should be able to give some insight into this.
Yeah. So Jay-Z, Beyonce, Tina Knowles, Blue Ivy, the entire family on the red carpet, and I believe we have an Inside Edition report, and which is a very rare occurrence. Let's watch.
United and defiant. Jay-Z, Beyonce, their daughter Blue Ivy, and Beyonce's mother Tina Knowles are sending a clear message that they're standing by the music mogul in the wake of shocking rape allegations leveled against him and P. Diddy. The power couple and 12-year-old Blue Ivy surprised everyone by unexpectedly showing up at the red carpet premiere of the Lion King prequel, Mufasa.
Rafiki, keep going.
Blue Ivy is the voice of the character Kiara. She looked all grown up at the sight of her parents wearing a billowy gold-colored gown. The family did not talk to reporters last night, but Jay-Z issued a scathing denial to accusations he raped a 13-year-old in the year 2000 at an after-party following the MTV VMAs. He's calling it an attempt at blackmail. Tina Knowles' appearance comes after she seemed to like an article detailing the accusations against her son-in-law. But Tina posted, "I was hacked. As you know, I do not play about my family. So if you see something uncharacteristic of me, just know that it is not me."
Okay, should we read anything into that? Because they don't often do red carpets. And as you know, Meghann, the photographs, the publicity, anything public around Beyonce is carefully manicured and curated. Even her own photographs of her at celebrity events, she sends them out herself. The fact that this family is doing this, you think they're sending out a statement this was deliberate?
Yeah, I think it was deliberate, but then I also think it was the parents showing a united front for their daughter. I mean, it was so obviously that this was her big moment, her big movie, her big premiere. They didn't want to have it overshadowed by the news. I mean, it seems like kind of a crappy situation for the family. I mean, I feel bad for the daughter having to have this go on during her big moment. And it seemed like the parents were trying to make it about her, but of course this is hanging over everything. So of course the headlines bring it up, but it seems like it was more about trying to make it about her.
Meghann, what is the next step here?
The next step is I would expect to hear from the judge in his civil case, because Jay-Z has requested an expedited hearing on this, a motion that he filed asking to identify the plaintiff. So we could hear something in the next couple of days. I don't know if we're going to get a decision on that, but there could be some kind of hearing scheduled or something like that. What
are the chances that happens? Does that happen very often in these cases? Because they are usually the courts are pretty adamant about, not revealing the identity of some of these alleged victims.
Overall, the case law favors identification. It's just a matter of 20 lawsuits that Diddy has not been fighting. He doesn't have lawyers appearing in these cases. So when Tony has done a motion to proceed anonymously, there hasn't been any opposition. So he's been approved on that, but it's under preliminary terms where the judges have said either it's preliminary in light of another briefing schedule, or they've said we could revisit this later on. There was one judge who just outright said no and said the plaintiff needs to identify herself. So that's happened. And then in another case that's actually not a Tony Busby lawsuit, but that was filed last year, that Diddy actually had some pretty solid representation in for a while until he was arrested. They were going for the identification of the plaintiff, and the judge agreed. And that just happened in the last couple weeks. They filed a new new complaint that identifies her. So overall, the case law does favor identification. It's just a matter of when, and then you actually have to litigate it, because like I said, all these other lawsuits that Busby has filed against Diddy, there hasn't been any defense counsel saying, no, actually we don't want the plaintiff to proceed anonymously. You need to identify her. So the judges have all just kind of gone along with Tony Busby, except for this one. But now that there's an actual defense counsel in this case, it's going to be a different story.
Do you have any update? This is Tony Busby, and isn't there Mark Agnifilo? Isn't that another attorney is for?
I have not heard that name, but he does have a local counsel in New York City who's filing suits with him, and then he also had a lawyer in San Diego on the Jay-Z case. But he definitely has some other counsel helping him.
Do you have an update for us on the Diddy case? Because Diddy is sitting in jail, has been denied bail a number of times.
Yes, he's due in court in a week. There is a status conference on December 18th. And right now his lawyers have a pretty big motion in regarding the search of his jail cells, because they're obviously really trying to be aggressive about anything that comes up. So the notes that were seized from his jail cell a couple weeks ago have really caused a big stir in the case. And right now the judge is sorting through them, trying to decide if they're covered by attorney-client privilege. So of course, any defense attorney would see a lot of opportunity and a lot of room in that, and they have filed a motion asking for an evidentiary hearing and ultimately they're hoping it leads to the dismissal of the indictment, saying that his rights are being violated and he's being spied on in jail, and they're infringing on his attorney-client privilege communications. And so that's all to be coming here.
So a status hearing for Diddy, and then awaiting the judge's response or ruling on whether they will reveal this Jane Doe in the Jay-Z case, correct?
Exactly.
Wow, Meghann, you're great. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thanks for updating us. And please come back. And if you get anything, let me know. All right. Again.
Absolutely, I will. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. Meghann Cuniff, a reporter who has been following this and following the Diddy cases and many cases that are like this, and her reporting has really been extraordinary. And we appreciate her coming on. So
thanks so much.
Thank you. We'll see you soon. Okay, so listen, that is the latest. What do you guys think? We are thrilled to have you as one of our watchers. So thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you hit the like button and the subscribe button as well. And that way you can be notified about all of our new content. There's plenty of it for you. We're live every day at 10 a.m. Eastern time. We drop more videos at 2 p.m. Eastern and at 5 p.m. And if you want even more Don Lemon Show content, we'd love for you to become a member of the Lemon Nation, of the Lemon community. Members receive access to special community posts, exclusive content, and live shows. So just head right over to our channel page or click the join button on this video. Again, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.